Hello, everybody. This is Noah and John, and we are from UrbanDigs, and it is Monday, and you're going to get your Brooklyn weekly market update. John, we're going to do a quarterly edition for Brooklyn. Let's try to carry on that trend from Manhattan. Looking at Brooklyn supply 2581. Show me that chart.
Yeah, welcome to the second quarter, Brooklyn, and your supply is up a little bit on the week. That's almost 1%. So, no, we've seen supply slowly increase in Brooklyn, and really it's been going sideways. The last couple of weeks it's been ticking up, but it's still well below where it needs to be. So supply up, but still, again, it needs more.
Yeah, it's a similar overall macro trend. It's up off its lows, but it's generally down when compared to the peak. Let's take a look at Brooklyn demand. Hello, Brooklyn. That's right. You woke up in Q2, 3194. Johnny, show me that chart.
Yeah, so Brooklyn demand is up again. It's up a tiny bit, 1/10% or so. What we've seen with Brooklyn demand has generally been higher than it's been for the last couple of years, and that trend continues. Is sort of ticking up here.
Yeah, not much of a change, and this stuff doesn't change that quickly. I look at the market pulse at 1.24. That looks like it's slowly ticking down, but it's still well in sell side territory. So we have a general low inventory, general high demand environment. Let's go to the weeklies right over there, see if there's any clue what's going on. Brooklyn supply, 330 things came on the market last week, up 5%. Johnny, show me that chart.
Yeah, so that's up 5%. You're right, and that's the second week in a row we've seen over 300 listings hit the Brooklyn market. So that's what Brooklyn needs to see. We need to see these listings coming on hot and heavy like this. But now, I suppose now is the time for that to happen. But you look where we were last year at this time, Noah, and we're still a little bit behind where we were last year. So it could do with. Look, 330 is nothing to sneeze at, but it could do with a few more.
Yeah, and I think you're going to get it. With what's going on with macro, again, I'm having a tricky time here, deciphering between seasonal and macro right now. So I'm hesitant to say anything until more data comes in, because April is one of our bigger new listing months. So that's just a side effect of calendar timing right now. We'll deal with it later. Contract signed in Brooklyn 1 week, 221. That's down just a touch. Johnny, show me that chart.
Look, we've been looking at contract signed, the measure of pending sales on a weekly basis, sort of staying at or above its recent highs. On looking at year over year paces, it's been hot and heavy. Same thing here, Noah, except instead of being above where it was last year, it's starting to become a little bit down. So I'm wondering if we're starting to see a little bit of a change in the market in Brooklyn. We might see a little bit of pausing at this super active contract sign level might be normalizing a bit here.
Well, that's where we're going to see it first, right, John? That's the thing, the macro. We're going to see the contract signed, because that's kind of how it happens, right? Those bids just pause a little bit, and deal volume just tends to slow off that heated level, and that's where we see it in the data coming in. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. We know what contract signed is supposed to look like. We're kind of at that level, so we'll see what happens. All right, John, very interesting stuff. Let's move from the weeklies and let's go to the chart du jour. This is quarterly market edition, and we are going to show you a bunch of charts, Johnny. Let's start with Brooklyn inventory. We take the amount of supply at the end of the quarter, we put that in a bar. You can see where Q1 is, and much like Manhattan, John, it is off of the lows, but it is notably down from that 2 years ago reopening high.
Yeah, look, you can clearly see that bounce back in supply, but you can see it's well below where it was in the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter 2020, first, second, third, and third quarter of 2021. So it's got a long way to go in order to keep this Brooklyn party going.
Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering, John. That's exactly what I'm wondering, because I don't even care about this bump right over here. This was kind of expected, but what I really care about is which way does this go? Do we go up here? Do we go sideways? Do we go back down? That is what's going to tell us what's happening in this market. That's when the macro forces are going to kind of have enough time to seep into this data. It's just too early, but we'll keep track of that, Johnny. Let's go to Brooklyn demand, Brooklyn pending sale. How many contracts were signed in Brooklyn each quarter? You add those up, you put it in a bucket, you post it. John, from where I'm standing, that looks like it's just off the record highs from last year's summer.
It is, and it's way up there. So, macro level, Brooklyn is just going gangbusters still. So the question is, all right, well, can we keep up this level of demand given the pace of supply that we have? And I think that's, I think in Brooklyn, the number one question really is supply. What is it going to do? And I think, you talk about pending sales at record highs, that can only continue if supply comes to the rescue.
Yeah, and look at this cumulative action of deal volume. It's just not going anywhere. And the fact that it's up at this level sustained for so long. Again, I want to be very, very, very clear. This is a liquid market. There is a bid for Brooklyn property. All right. This is what this data is telling me. And if you are a seller and you are on the market and you are not selling, you must ask yourself, Is there not a bid for Brooklyn property? Is there not a liquid market? Or is there something wrong with my price? And the market just dictated that my price is wrong. And this is telling me that the answer to the first question is there is quite a good bid for Brooklyn property, and it's very liquid. So let's move on to price action and see what the prices are doing. And this is where it gets a little tricky, Johnny, because you got one world of Brooklyn with co-ops and condos, and they're doing their thing. And then you got the other world of Brooklyn with townhouses, and they're doing that thing. Here's co-ops and condos, John. What are you seeing?
Well, I think the most obvious thing is you look that right side of the chart, you can see those numbers kind of come down. You kind of get the sense that, well, maybe Brooklyn resales peaked, right? We saw the median price per square foot ratchet up and then it come back down. And I think the reason you're seeing that is because I think the level of demand for these units has sort of, it was at record highs. No, it was at crazy level highs, and it's kind of come back down. Just we're still well above normal, but that level of demand has come down. So you don't have as much oomph behind these prices as you did a year or so ago. So I think that's kind of what you're seeing in that fade there. But again, it begs the question, like what you're talking about, it's really that two worlds question.
Yeah, there's two worlds. And again, this is co-ops and condos. And when let's just look at that red line for a second over here. When I do this chart, all right, that was a bad line, but let's just do this top line right here. Okay. And I do the bottom of this right over here. This is just, I mean, that is range bound for years of this. It's just stuck in this range. It's like going sideways inside of this channel, and it just can't seem to bump out of this channel. And you're at the bottom of it now. So it's really interesting to see what co-ops and condos are doing versus the townhouses. The townhouses are where the Brooklyn powerhouse is really happening on the price action side. And if you're thinking about the active Brooklyn market, this is kind of what you're probably thinking about, Johnny.
Yeah, because when you think about townhouses in Brooklyn, I mean, first of all, Manhattan townhouses are a very small segment of the market. Brooklyn, it's a huge segment of the market, and they like Manhattan, really, no one's making many more of these things. So you have a finite supply, and you've got just an increase in the number of people that are looking for these things. And I think that's what's been powering prices higher. I mean, really, we've been on a steady uptrend in these things since 2015, maybe even earlier. I mean, this is a nice, long, steady uptrend. Only in the past few quarters has it really sort of ratcheted up a notch. But here we are again, it's a very supply constrained market. And that's where you're going to see the big price increases, simply because there's only so many that can go around.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, are we approaching overbought? Is this move played out a little bit? Are we kind of getting towards the tail end of it maybe? And look, this would be totally normal if this dips back down. You know what I'm saying? This is be totally normal if this dips back down, but is this a longer term secular uptrend? Very interesting to see what the Brooklyn townhouse market's doing. It is quite strong. And when you take the Brooklyn townhouse market, that's green, okay, median sales price for Brooklyn townhouses, and you take the Brooklyn co-op condo median sale prices, that's blue, okay, and the resale co-op condo, you can see, look at that spread. Look at the spread between the co-op condo resale market and that median home price market. When you look at what the spread was doing back here and how tight it is, and now you see that the spread is just widening, you could see that, again, this is the tale of one sector doing one thing and another sector doing another thing.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I think that's the widest we've seen it since we've been tracking it. So it really kind of goes to show you, again, I'm going to take the conversation back to supply. What a limited supply of an in-demand good will do, and it's going to really push those prices up. Unfortunately, for co-ops and condos, there's a lot more of them, so you just have more to go through. But again, moral of the story to me: Brooklyn needs as many listings as it can get at this point.
Yeah, I think Manhattan does as well. Well, thank you, John Walkup, for putting up all this data. That is wonderful stuff. That is John Walkup. I am Noah Rosenblatt. We are both from UrbanDigs. If you guys got questions, we got answers. Just look at our forum right down here. If you want any of the wonderful data that John whipped up today, it's going to be in our research notes right over here. Other than that, this has been your Brooklyn Weekly Market Update, Quarterly Market Edition, and we'll catch you next time.